Right, and welcome to, I believe this is episode 67 of Beyond the Pendulum. I'm trying to get this loaded to go live on, well, it's somehow getting to Twitter. I have no idea how it's even getting there. It's not even showing up on the back end of this. Wow, and we have zero viewers. Oh, one viewer. Yay, one viewer.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So it's been kind of like on the UFO or the UAP disclosure front. It's been kind of the same as usual. It's been the same old usual and more more what do you call it? More of the same bullshit. Another day kind of thing going on. I mean, nothing really came out of that whole thing out of Congress. Nothing, not a goddamn thing. Not.
When did all that start? That's been going on for. I mean, that's previous to the election even.
Yeah, and it really didn't. Nothing came to fruition. Um, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know of anything that's coming from all this.
no, nothing. It's it's a it's
People
a
getting
dog and pony
everybody's
show.
no. Yeah, where they're tired of getting like a new gatekeeper that we have to go through. You know, everything's you have to go through this guy. It's the same pattern. It's like an intelligence guy. He's handling the file,
I go play. Go
and
play.
you have to. It's just
Go play.
come on. It's just
Go play. He's trying to come in. My son tried to come in.
He'll
I
keep it
come.
lively.
Yeah. Give me 5 minutes, boo boo. Oh, okay, it's fine. But yeah, nothing came out of the hearings, which was fine. I didn't expect anything to come out, but we did have more people this week verify what Dylan was saying, the new whistleblower, about the TR-3B that he had seen coming out of the NASA facility. So apparently, and this which makes sense, and this is something that's been overlooked. This was something on our stuff that people don't pay attention to. About a month and a half ago, before Dylan even went public, NASA revoked all of its transparency clauses that we had done two years previous when all this David Grush stuff had come up, and now NASA stuff is top secret. Again, it's a lot of it's classified. So due to the national security concerns, so all of that transparency
Yeah,
with NASA is bullshit.
yeah, it's the old fake. I mean, if you're a right winger like me, you notice Trump always like fakes right and then kind of goes left. He has a way of doing his policies, and that's how he drags into it, and that's how you get burned in the end with the guy. But it's the same thing with the government here now. You know, lying, getting told. It's the same pattern of lies.
Yeah.
Telling you one thing, and then by the end of it all, nothing, and it's all flipped.
Would you hear the JPL laid off 500 people yesterday? Did you hear about that?
No, yeah, I hear about groups here and there. Um, I guess the parks are pretty much shut down. I was getting ready to hit in one of them here in the area and to put that trip off, but
I got a warning from my work. If we don't get if everything's subject to we're getting audited by a federal agency, which is good. I mean, our federal payer is auditing us, so
uh,
not everybody's at my work, but they said that hey, if the next fiscal year, we've already got our money, it doesn't come around, then there's nobody gonna work.
it's all tied to your research funds and grants
Yeah,
and
I was like,
oh yeah, well they're all complaining. I mean, they even say this like, oh, these road projects around here, they're well, and then the parks they get their money, and then you look at the fine print, it's like even like Texas state parks, they get their money from going DHS. What was the other one? Oh my gosh. At any rate, it's like, well, what are they involved with Texas state parks? Yeah, that's the feds, but they're getting money from the feds, so they complain, well, we can't keep our parks open, which is just a bunch of nonsense.
Because yeah, I used to know park rangers. They don't get paid very well at all. At all. Like
No,
I was
and
surprised. I was surprised how low they get paid.
yeah, it used to be that people would take a state job because of the great benefits and insurances. If you had a family, well, it was you could kind of grow into it or get a better one over time and get your pay up over time. But you know now, of course, they expect everything.
Park rangers can't live off of that wages. I know how much they make, and it's not livable. I make more than a park ranger, and I work
Oh
for the
yeah,
government. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well,
it'd
you
be
know,
it'd be equivalent to like here's how bad they pay them. What do you think is the lowest paying job in the medical industry? Just guess.
oh gosh, probably like not a CNA, but like a helper for a CNA or maybe the
No, completely
clothes
wrong.
worker.
No, EMT. EMT is the lowest paid, almost minimum wage. Um,
And that'd be
actually,
the ones that are like freelance, not working for a city or something.
yes, this is freelance. Which are 90% of all EMTs are freelance, unfortunately, and most of them are making almost minimum wage. That's what
Yeah, that's amazing.
that's what a park ranger's making. And it depends. Some of them are armed and some of them aren't. It really depends on what they're doing because they can enforce some of them. Some areas, some park rangers are armed. They do get paid a little more, but in most
Yeah.
cases they're not armed.
Yeah, most of the ones I see here are, and there's quite a few of them. So, I mean, but at the same time, it's like, man, I mean, you talk about what a great place to work, low stress. Uh, a lot of them get housing, like, I would call it on base housing, but there's like resident housing at the park.
Oh yeah, they give free
Uh,
housing. Some of them, yeah.
oh, yeah, it's just, if you can turn down your spending and different lifestyle, I mean, it can work. So you
Uh,
have to really turn
I,
it down.
they had to move around funds just to get the military paid, so that's not gonna last. I heard they only have like three pay cycles, and then all the money's gone.
Yeah, you
So
know what I don't understand is I thought we just had this big beautiful bill and a big financial package and everything. It's like what happened? It's just like we weren't going to have to go through this for
I hear all of this
like
bullshit is over
sure,
the covered is all over healthcare.
yeah, but I was just like, well, how did that even come up? It's like, well, um, I guess when one side or the other wants to push something, I mean, they can always do this thing, install, install things, but somehow, but just it, how are they doing it? It's just like, are we? I guess we were in that continuing resolution mode, so it's now you can just stall a continuing resolution, and then the government shuts down almost immediately. Nothing's really getting paid like it should, so uh, dilly dicking around.
It's ridiculous. This is almost as bad as when Obama. This is like as if it goes on another week, it's worse than when the Obama incident or
Is that
last
the
another.
last time? Yeah, this show was like what 25 or 30 days or
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
ripple effect.
well, I can tell you one thing: the whole healthcare is bullshit. They just need to socialize healthcare as much as people don't want to hear it. You can't cap you can't put a capitalist system on healthcare. It doesn't work. And that's how we
Yeah,
got into this mess the first place. Like, Americans pay more than any other nation in the world, and it's astronomical. I was
yeah,
literally in the ER for half an hour. I sat down in a bed. I got one blood test. They ran the insurance wrong, and it was $15,000.
yeah. It's just the billing's not real. And then you look at what they settle for. It's usually like around 10, 15% of what they're billing for, and it's. everything needs to tighten up. But you're right. I would say, what I see, like say of socialist healthcare, like say in Mexico or Cuba, the style of care versus what you get here, the fascist capitalist model. It's just it's better and it's cheaper because it's designed for the people instead of designed for somebody's bottom line, which never ends. They can never squeeze you enough and squeeze you out of your health care so they make more money.
I'll tell you one thing. Most
That's
of
the
the
idea.
medicines that we're giving, are pennies on the dollar. And if everybody paid $100 a month, everybody, I mean, they would have to deduct even from the poorest clients to make this work. 100% of Americans would have to pay in at some level
Yeah.
for it to work. But you would take that $100 would give you unlimited medical care. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
But
you could get to some private groups that are like that. I haven't looked into that in a long time, but when that whole Obamacare nonsense was going on, I was looking into it, and there was bigger private groups that had things like that, or a pay as you go, like
it's
you're in a
it's
group as
it,
people
it
get hit, you pay X amount.
to be
It's
honest,
kind of
it's like here in my state, in Cali, like that Obamacare like fucked everything up. If you can't pay, I don't qualify. Let's just say that. I make too much to qualify for any sort of reduction. If I didn't have government benefits, I would not be able
yeah,
to
but
afford it. Right now, I pay
yeah,
zero. I pay zero because I'm a government employee. It's high
it's
risk, and I have free health care on, but I have a basic plan. If I wanted more, it would cost me more. That same plan would cost me thousands. You know,
yeah, they've actually rarely figured this out how they're going to just you know eat up like 15-20% of the economy, and they're doing it. People are paying. I don't know why, because I see like what they did to my mom here. She paid religiously for good insurance for freaking years, and like at the point when you need it, yeah, hey, you're old. It's time for you to cash in and get some care and some spare parts, like a couple of knees put in. They don't want to do it.
yeah,
It's like, well, what the fuck? Oh, well, like you're too old. Hey, that doesn't matter. That you've eaten all you had no problem taking all these premium payments all this time. Now it's time to pay up.
yeah. This is
It
why
doesn't matter.
this is
It
this is
doesn't
why you should,
matter.
yeah, you shouldn't let like a heart transplant will cost you like $1 million, dude. It's like really,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't. Because you can go to any of these the countries mentioned, Mexico, you know, Thailand would be another great one.
Turkey.
Yeah. I mean,
Turkey's got
things are cheaper
decent.
there. It's
Turkey has medical
even
tourism too.
yeah, even India, and China. Everybody's coming up in the world. We're like just how can we rape our population and is the kind of healthcare you're getting. Everybody else does it cheaper. What does that tell you? You're getting fucked.
Christ. They wonder why. Oh yeah, and then Trump said today that he was going to make it so that fertility. They think that the low birth rate in America is because there's low fertility. So now that they're having that all insurances will cover fertility drugs and fertility treatments. And I'm like,
Hmm.
the birth rate. You know why the birth rate is down in the United States? Because it costs too fucking much to have a kid. No shit. You don't
Yeah, well,
have
and you have this.
every country in the world, even Uzbekistan, has child care included with your taxes. This is the only country where you can go, you can have a kid, and you have no child care covered. A third world country has
Yeah.
child care covered with your taxes. Like what the fuck? This
Well,
is
it's just it goes back to that. Well, here's the problem. See, if you go if you go down the socialist healthcare route, now you're the socialist, so your whole economy turns that way, and then things change for the worse because that doesn't work either. If you have to like pick the best of both systems, and ways of thinking to like get through this. You know,
yeah.
because our economy is engineered for money, pushing the corporate, pushing the corporate style. That's it. There's nothing fair or honest about it. It has its own style and way of being, and that's the way it is. It's not Mexico or their way of doing things. But I do like their healthcare better. I would say, it's like as far as the style and the way it's oriented, more towards the patient rather than some fucking company making tons of money. It works better.
Oh yeah.
That works better.
Did you hear Pete Hegseth? This is hilarious. Is
Heck,
now
some trouble.
saying that, yeah, he now says that the reporters are not allowed to cover certain topics in the Pentagon. Legit. This is legit. He's violating the First Amendment. How can you tell a
Well,
reporter to not cover certain topics?
that saves him the trouble of having to tell you it's national security, which is just bullshit. Because there's another one. See, you can't use uh, security classifications, to hide criminal activity, felonies, et cetera, et cetera.
But
So
that's what
yeah,
they
he's
do.
still full of shit. It's like that's the only reason you pull that crap.
Well, I do know something that is real. It happened on October 10th. Area 51 was running a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle test with uh, B, the B, whatever bombers, I forget what model, and they were trying to see if they could fly UAVs into a mock. Oh, my kid's crying.
Or like a hanger, lock
Yeah,
hanger or something.
no, no, they were trying to, yeah, they're trying to see if they could fly it without it getting unnoticed. The UAV crashed, but that's not the weird part. The weird part is that after the inspectors went to go see the crash, and the only reason this came about is because that guy in Rachel, Nevada, that has that test was monitoring the emergency transmission line, which is analog, not digital. And when the inspectors came back to see the crash site of the UAV, they found a dummy bomb and and they found parts that didn't belong to that vehicle, other other aircraft parts that didn't belong to that. And um, now the investigators have the FBI and the OSI, or the Air Force Office of Special Investigation, figuring this out. And the only reason this story came out is because people started asking questions, and the DoD did verify this. Um, but that begs the question: who the fuck puts shit on a? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? There were extra parts that weren't there before.
Well, somebody's like swapped. I don't, that's a complex way to do it. Why? It'd be make more sense to just like steal the thing and then they find nothing. That's
Yeah,
easy to do. But then you brought in extra parts,
and a fake
or you
bomb.
pick and choose. Yeah, I don't get that. That's pretty complicated. That's even harder to do.
And
I don't know.
that's why they got the FBI involved. They're like, what the fuck?
Disinformation or I just it didn't unless it's the aliens doing it now,
That's what I thought.
purposely decking with.
That's what I thought. It's like they like ate some edibles and they, you want to fuck with these guys?
Hey, we got to think outside the box, right? I mean, we're talking about UFOs and
Or maybe
nobody
there
really
was
fucking
maybe
knows.
maybe
Yeah.
this was the because you know how they do stuff when they're doing special ops on themselves. They don't tell anybody until
Oh yeah,
months
that's right.
after.
Internal security,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't know who and what you're dealing with. I mean, that's the problem with the government, man. I mean, even they lose track of what the fuck they're doing. Who's doing what? Who's psyoping? By the end of it all, does anybody really know what the hell's going on?
Not really. You hear about
I, you know,
the drones in Europe, right? You heard about those?
yeah, it looks like it's expanding, or whatever the thing is.
It's not. They're
I,
not.
I
They're not drones. It's the same thing as before. It's those are UAPs. It's orbs. It's like the ones in Jersey. Um, they're doing the same
Yeah, the
thing.
drone story is, that's like the old balloon, from the late '40s, right? That's like the cover story
Yeah,
for a UFO incident. That was another, yeah, it's some drone crap because drones are so common now. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, everybody knows what a drone is.
yeah, and they're going.
It's
These ones are going
the
in and
story.
out of the water too, just like the other ones.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. They said, what was that? Somewhere in that stuff you had online, there was a letter from one of the congressmen about seeing a. They saw the video of the one where the underwater maneuvers, and
Yeah, these things are
they
moving
elaborate
at
even more. They're
yeah,
moving at impossible speeds.
yeah, moving at impossible speeds underwater. Yeah, that's this is if the leak that we know about is true, then these things are being manufactured in factories under the water. We know where a couple of them are. There's one in the Bermuda Triangle, one off the Pacific that we know about. Apparently now one off of the coast of Africa. Um, and every so often, a resupply ship comes in and ships go out. And they believe it's all automated AI. They don't know who's running it. They don't believe anybody's running it. They think it's all automated. And that was from the leak from 4chan from a few years ago, and it's starting to like I hate to say it, the last three leaks that we've had on 4chan, well, four, the one on Reddit, have all turned up to be to when you start backing up the weird facts that come out, they start to make sense after a while. Like there is one that people don't think is real that I do is the one where the whistleblower was talking about a ship that's been there almost forever that's been orbiting one of the moons in Jupiter, and around the same time, um, periodically we've been hearing FRBs coming from Jupiter, fast radio bursts,
Mm.
which don't make any sense because um, usually when you're dealing with planetary bodies and natural radio sources, you usually don't. It's something you would expect more with a star, not Jupiter. And this is not the first time I've heard of FRBs coming from Jupiter. It's just that the average Joe doesn't have the technical know-how how to convert a KU band, an old K band satellite dish into a radio observatory or a radio
Yeah.
probe. And unfortunately, I do belong into those realm of people. I just don't have the gear. Um, but it would be interesting if we had amateurs instead of trying to ham radio amateurs trying to bounce their signal off of defunct satellites and say, hey, could you point this at Io or Europa and see if you're actually if there are FRBs within the FM band signal coming from Jupiter? Because I mean that'd be prime real estate. If you're looking around for alien life, you got to start looking in your own backyard. Which we don't do. We don't even look on this planet. We know it's here.
Yeah, well, other than what are they called? Extremophiles, like the what is it? The high temperature bacteria that might be floating in the clouds of Venus, something like that. Putting off gases. We can kind of tell there's something going on there. Um, or what was that other one? The geysers and those moons. Either they pick up some compounds. So I mean, there's life there, but what is it? It's ice covered moon. So it's going to be some kind of like the like thermal vents that we have here, underwater thermal vents. So
No, I'm speaking. I'm
I
speaking.
could see that pretty easy. I mean that should be really common.
No, but I mean,
Honestly,
we
because
don't look for alien artifacts in our own backyard.
mm,
When I've actually heard that, for all the stories you hear about UFO, USOs are actually more prevalent. There are more things moving around on our
because
oceans than they want to let us know.
you know
Ugh.
well, and there are a lot of megalithic sites on the planet that
Underwater.
they just kind of gloss over. I mean, and underwater stuff. That's kind of like that's similar to the UFO file. There's certain stories and things that just don't really get covered. Certain angles. It's just like, like we
Or
really don't want to go.
the
We don't want to.
supposed yeah, the pyramid that they found off the coast of Cuba is under 750 feet of water. And it's an old
Uh,
megalithic site. They think it's Atlantis, to be honest with you. But they can't go there
well,
because
there's
guess what? Because Cuba is a no-no zone because of all of that shit from the 60s. And nobody is allowed in the Cuban waters. So, I mean, if you deal with Cuba, I don't, I'm not sure who they're aligned with anymore.
Cuba. Well, they're opening up some. Well, they're still in the old Soviet bloc, the Venezuela's. Of course, then you throw Mexico, there's Costa Rica. I mean, there's certain countries that do business with them, but
I'll tell you one thing. I saw those the first time I saw those sonar pics in the early 2000s about what they found down there. I was like, dude, if that ain't Atlantis, I don't know what is. The fact that it's
oh,
750 feet underwater means it's from the right before the
ice.
melt. Yeah,
Yeah.
which would
Oh,
be
you have
which
those.
which would be lining up. Yeah, which would line up exactly with what Plato had said. It would be 12,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because when
Yeah,
Plato said it was,
those Crimean pyramids.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I think they're finding some others, these Bosnian ones too. I mean, they're kind of, not saying they're all over the place, but there's a lot of them. And then these submerged ones, you just like, well, I mean, they're finding submerged like what would you call it, like agricultural communities, under the Black Sea and certainly Caspian Sea over there. It's just, I mean, there's old communities going way back.
Every
They
10,000
got,
years, this world
yeah,
resurfaces itself. We don't know how.
you got to rewrite the history books here, and they're just having a hard time doing it because a lot of these people have a hard time, adapting to like the new knowledge. Go Blake Beach Happy and all. It's like they're having a hard time, like essentially just accepting what that means and then putting it in the timeline. They like
We
the old ways, the old way of living, and they can't say, oh well, expanding the timeline somehow fucks them up.
they found wooden tools, then they carbon dated it to a structure they found in Zimbabwe, 750,000 years old. Tools, wooden tools. How about them apples? You know what I mean? And a structure,
Yeah,
which means that
and
which means that what we, it's highly probable that, sophisticated hominids have been roaming this planet, and every 10 to 100,000 years, a catastrophe happens and everything resets.
yeah,
That's more likely.
that's
It's probable.
yeah.
Because in 10,000 years,
Well,
everything that we built is going to be gone.
yeah,
Uh,
there's nothing that would much survive. Well, the pyramids might still be there, or parts of them, certain large structures.
well, did you know,
That'd be
up
about
until
it.
like the late 1800s, the pyramids were under sand.
Mm.
Or Napoleon, right? No, Napoleon came by, and that was the early 1800s.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, really, what they look. I'm pretty sure they knew they were there still. Yeah. The locals really let their history go to hell. But that seems to be the history of places like that. It's like Gobekli. Why is it all filled in? Why is like everything we just like whatever structure is there, we come in, 1,000 years later on some place and there's some old buildings there and they just like fill it in and build on top of it. It's like it's kind of weird.
Yeah. They're saying the same thing about Three Eye Atlas. They're saying that might be that might be alien tech. Um, but you know what's
Alien
the weird
tech
part
coming in.
is? You know what's the weird part is that nobody is doing radio scans of Three Eye Atlas. Nobody. Now, I get it. Normal chemical processes will emit certain radio emissions. Um, like if we have like let's just say we had like 1.4 gigahertz, like we like the wow signal. So now we know it's producing hydrogen. So okay, yeah, that's what they do. But what if we're in the 400 megahertz range? What like is anybody pointing anything at Three Eye Atlas and seeing if it's giving off any sorts of radio emissions?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of people, at least with the bigger, amateur telescopes. They're kind of getting in the act now. I mean, they're looking at it that way, but I don't
Not
know
with
if anybody.
not scanning it for
I mean,
radio.
when we scan for like near Earth objects, we're just like shooting radar out there. We're not necessarily looking if any of these things are even communicating, or you know, I'm sure that would come up, with all the ways we're looking at things and
You'd be
antennas
you'd be
out there.
you'd be
There's
surprised how
something
many
going
people
on.
don't know that they can use their old K bands and their old, you know, directional. The best ones to use are the old camper ones. The ones that you go on your mobile on your camper for those direct TV omnidirectional satellite dish. The ones that move themselves are actually pretty decent for doing stuff like that. But
Not many people are into it. I mean, you're talking, that'd be kind of like down my line, double E that's into, ham radio or the cable stuff. It's kind of a nit. I mean,
yeah, because like right now I'm trying to. I was talking about yesterday today in my chat about making using these micro. Now you can get radar modules, um, fairly tiny radar modules on PCB. Uh, and I was thinking about hooking one up and making a product with Flipper Zero. I'm just saying the more I'm getting into this, more I'm realizing that I'm in such a weird niche. It's not. I guess there's just not as it's like when it's like astronomy. There are more people they're looking at stuff that are into the whole you know retrofitting satellite dishes and pointing them at shit and see what the fuck we're picking up.
yeah, you have to watch what you study when you go to school. I mean, it's true that,
Yeah.
some degrees are worth more than others. So
Yeah.
you have just because you might, oh, I really love, say, being a musical guy and want to go into all that. Well, where does that lead? Versus, uh,
Yeah.
say, IT versus engineering versus just not even going and being a friggin' plumber. I mean, if you just want to make money,
Yeah.
if that's what it's all about.
And I think my
So
kid wants to go to bed. uh,
you
so I
got to
guess
watch. No, I mean, you see these people that get PhDs and all, they spend all this money, chasing some degree program, and there's not that many jobs out there. Or you be a teacher, and then they just kind of don't fit in, and it just some of them never really make that much money, or they're working at the fucking pizza joint or something. It's
yeah,
you got to watch what you do.
exactly. I gotta keep this kid off from pushing the buttons. I'll end the show now. We'll go for the next show on the 30th.